Jalen Milroe in Alabama heading to Baton Rouge to play LSU in what has amounted to be a college football playoff game. And I was one that said, hey, man, when they do this playoff, the regular season's not going to mean as much. I guess I was wrong, man. And in a way, It means more. We're going to talk about that here on Elephant in the Room. So you guys that are hanging out with us, remember, we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Let me play Jake's Open. Word on the street is if we win against LSU, they're going to redo our Open for us.
I don't know, man. It gets me every time. It gets me fired up.
If it makes you want to run through a wall.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It makes you want to strap it back up, buddy.
Hey, I don't ever watch the All-American Report because you're not going to like the Open very much.
I'm not going to like it because it's a lot better than ours.
It's fantastic. It's the best Open of all the shows I'm on.
That sounds about right. That's because they know Mike will walk in there and mop the floor with their ass if it looks unprofessional. I mean, we look like a couple stooges. Yeah, we look like a couple stooges, buddy.
That's so funny. Well, let's talk about this football game, man. It's been definitely been a weird week trying to get everything coordinated for all the stuff going on. But when Saturday comes and that ball's kicked off at 6:30 down in Baton Rouge, it's going to be one of the most hostile environments that Alabama's going to play in. I don't look at this LSU team's defense and compare them to some of the defenses that they've had in the past. Their offense loves to throw the football. But they're a scrappy bunch, man. I know they've lost a couple of games, but I like Garrett Nussmeier. The Kyron Lacey's a really good wide receiver. Everyone knows Anderson because he was on our team and transferred, right? And he's had a great year. Alabama's got their work cut out for them, and this is a really big game because the loser's out.
Yeah, the scary part about this game is Nussmeier to me. That's going to be our pass rush, and our defense in the secondary is going to be, just defensively, that could be our Achilles heel on Saturday night. I mean, you got a guy who places the ball well, who anticipates well, makes a lot of good decisions. Now, South Carolina put him in a bind a few times, or not South Carolina. Who'd they lose to? Texas A&M. They put him in a bind. Elko did a good job. But, we play man coverage and get beat. He's accurate enough where he's going to hurt us at a high clip. And, you bring pressures and he's going to find a way to get the ball out quick. He's in terms of you playing zone defense, he's probably going to know what you're in and be able to distribute the ball correctly. Just a guy that you fear when you're fear on defense because you just feel like he's going to be consistently making the right decisions.
Yeah.
I think it really, honestly, I'm biased, I think, but it's for this game in particular, it's coming down to quarterback play on both sides. Who makes the least amount of mistakes, and then Jaylen. We got to get the old last year's LSU Jaylen back, where he's not afraid to use his legs. He's making quick decisions. He's playing in a way that makes Jaylen comfortable. And when he's comfortable back there, whether it be whether he's having a game where he's throwing it from the pocket or if he's struggling to see things taken off, extending plays, getting the ball to the playmakers in open space. He's just got to find a way to be comfortable back there. And we can't be taking sacks and turning the ball over. That's what I'm looking forward to see most is the way he comes out and plays this game. And I'll be honest with you, Alabama -3. I know this year's been a little weird, but I think that line indicates at least to me, it gives me some confidence.
Yeah, I don't even know what to read into the line. I just know that if Jalen Milroe does what he did against LSU last year, run the football, run it effectively, be aggressive.
Physically, aggressively, with just making quick decisions. Even if you hold on to the ball for an extra second and you can get that ball out, just as long as he's avoiding the negative plays, that's what I want to see. I just don't try to do too much. Just do you.
Yeah. And that's it, man. And I mean, it feels like he's been in a slump. And I thought he was hurt, but maybe he's just been in a slump. This is the game that got him out of the slump last year.
Yeah, well, this is the game that kind of set him apart and kind of made him the leader on offense that everybody looked to. He helped carry us through that victory. And really for the rest of the season, he was the rock for that team.
Well, Alabama needs that now, because if they lose this game, then you're talking about 3 losses out of the college football playoff. It's a much different narrative around the program. You win this one, then you got Mercer. That's not an off week, but it's close to it. And then all of a sudden you go to Oklahoma. That's going to be a really fun game, a game that's definitely winnable. And then, obviously the Iron Bowl. I mean, it could be a really fun stretch run, but it all comes down to going to Baton Rouge and getting the job done one way or the other.
Well, this is the hardest game remaining on our schedule. Playing at LSU at night, it's the most complete team that we're going to play for the rest of the season. Oklahoma, defensively pretty good, offensively not good at all. Auburn, you don't know which team's showing up. Sometimes they look good in parts of the game and then they find a way to blow it. But Auburn's going to play us tough. This is going to be their Super Bowl. Probably not. Are they already not bowl eligible?
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not making it. They're not making a bowl game.
You got some important business deals going on over there?
Always, man. Always. Always.
People give me shit about looking around. When we did this.
Well, if I do this, you hate it. So, hey.
I do hate that.
You got this, or I can do this. I'll tell you what.
I don't like that either.
You get
when I look over there, when I'm trying to talk and I can tell you're looking down and texting.
I'm listening though, man. I mean, come on.
Comments, get after his ass.
That's like doing 3 things at once, but I'm listening.
Yeah, give him and that mustache he wrote in here on shit.
I thought of all the friends of mine that you would be the one that would champion this great mustache.
Yeah, I'd champion on Halloween night. It's suited for a costume. That's about it.
It's No Shave November. I mean, maybe you should get into this.
Yeah, because to sport that, you got no shame, pal.
I didn't say shame. I said no shave.
Oh, I know what you meant, but the truth came out.
Ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. You should be proud of.
You need to be texting your barber.
I don't know how long I'm going to roll with this, but I at least through the week. So let's get back to the Milroe thing, though. I mean, is there anything to worry about? And I've talked about this on a lot of different shows, and the bottom line to me is that for him to, well, first off, I don't know if he's not leaving at the end of the year, because if he doesn't get things turned around, his draft stock is cratering. I mean, he was like a guy that was listed at 1 or 2 in quarterbacks, and now they're listing him down at 6. And I know he's talented, man. And I believe in him. I love the deep ball, but he's got to run the ball to be effective, man. That is what he does. Is the minute that you have to worry about the run, then the pass, or vice versa, he becomes so dangerous. He's been very one-dimensional as far as a dual threat guy over the last 3 games. But when you go back and look at that Georgia tape, man, he was running all over him.
Well, I think he's kind of gotten. And look, this is no. I'm not trashing Jaylen here. I'm trying to, figure out, or when I watch him, I try to figure out, what's going on, and I almost feel like he feels to a certain extent like he's trapped in this system. Not where he feels like a bad situation, but I think he's just got so many things going on in his head. It's making him play a little slower than he should be, and he's not playing naturally.
Right.
I think if I'm coaching him and I'm seeing what I'm seeing, I'm sitting him down saying, look, Jaylen, here's our scheme. This is what we're trying to do, and we're trying to make this work as best we can. But you also have to play within yourself and play in a way that makes you comfortable and makes you the best quarterback you can be. So, if you're not seeing things you're as gifted or more gifted than any other quarterback in the country in terms of creating plays with your feet. You have to take advantage of that because that's what makes you special, and that's what allows us to beat, the Georgias, the LSUs at LSU, the teams that are, it's every team. They're going to have a hard time managing your arm and your legs. It's just damn near impossible. So, in order to make the most of Jalen Milroe, you got to make sure he's running and keeping them honest at the same time.
Right.
You can't hold on to the ball and you can't let those edge rushers get to you. You gotta step up and either make a throw or get out of there.
Yeah.
And again, when I watch him play, and I've mentioned the issues of timing with the receiving core and some of the things earlier in the season where you couldn't really tell. I'm sure Mike could have pointed it out a little bit better than me, but you can't really tell who's responsible for what up front. If he's, picking up the pressures, pointing out who makes him hot, if they're not running the right hot routes, if the back's not picking up the right guy and he thinks he's protected and he's really not. There's just a lot going through his mind, and at least that's what I feel like when I watch. Just some indecision there and not just being natural and playing the way Jaylen needs to play.
So do you feel like his draft stock is falling or he could come back? Or do you think that even if he kind of finished the season like this, he's still, an NFL prospect?
Well, I think he's an NFL prospect. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I can't remember really who's all in this class off the top of my head. I know Carson Beck's coming out.
Shedeur Sanders, Deion's son's one of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's coming out. He's going to be up there.
Garrett Nussmeier's one.
Yeah, it really all depends on who's coming out. Nussmeier, the way that he digests pressures and coverage and gets the ball out and his accuracy, he's going to be a pretty valuable pick. Jaylen just, through the first 3 games of the season, especially with that Georgia game, looked great. But, it's just weird to not see progression as we move forward.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if anybody had Jaylen in the top 2, but he certainly has potential. He's got arm strength.
Yeah.
He has the ability to be accurate when his feet are in the right spot, and he's setting the throw correctly. But it never helps to not look good during your final college season. And I know he's got another year, but the expectation was to leave this year. So, we don't win this game. We don't win out and make it to the playoff. There's going to be a decision that has to be made there. That's for sure. It's not going to be a see you later moment if we don't have a successful, last 4 games of the year and a playoff appearance.
You played behind some really great quarterbacks. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But, guys, I want to also remind you we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use that promo code NEXTROUND to double your initial deposit. Now's the time to do it. It's a fun time of year, not just college football, but you got college basketball. We're going to talk a little bit about Bama hoops. By the way, getting it done. Look very impressive in that debut. But college basketball is going, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, they do it all at mybookie.ag. and we appreciate them for being part of our show. And Cover Crimson, if you guys are hanging out with us right now, like and subscribe, thumbs up here on the YouTube channel as we are rolling on Elephant in the Room. He's Jake Coker and I'm Mick Gillispie. When you talk about where things are and in the quarterback room, you played behind Jameis Winston, right? And he's an NFL quarterback. I mean, he's actually doing well right now again, right? You're the guy there. There's other quarterbacks involved. You come to Alabama, and you're the backup quarterback the first year. If you had the idea and everybody's thinking he's leaving and then he comes back, how does that change the quarterback room? And the reason I'm saying that is I really want Milroe to have a great finish because I like him, because I'm a fan, because it would help Alabama, and also for the quarterback room. I mean, Ty Simpson's kind of waited his turn, and then you got Dylan Lonergan, and you got Austin Mack, and then you got Keelan Russell, who's coming in as a 5-star. If for some reason things don't get better and he decides to come back, what's it like in the quarterback room when that happens?
Here's the thing: is if we go into next year and the end of this year, doesn't end up being a playoff season, then I think that quarterback position battle is going to open up a lot more. You're really going to have to dive in and find out, which guy gives us the best opportunity to win. And so who knows if Ty would be that guy, or, if Jalen continues to be the quarterback. I mean, Kalen DeBoer is going to really have to dive into that. In terms of him sticking around, I left Florida State. Jalen was, Jameis was a year younger than me, and you never know about when a guy's going to stay or leave. And so when he was named a starter, and again, even, he won the Heisman that year, but that still doesn't guarantee that anybody's leaving within 3 years. So, and also, when I found out, I wasn't the starter, and even if he did leave early, I'd potentially have 1 year to start. I knew I loved Alabama, and when I got hurt that year, had a lot of time to think about my future in football and what I wanted, and I was obviously a huge Alabama fan growing up, and I did watch Alabama while I was at Florida State, and I was like, man, if there's one thing I wanted in football, it was a national championship as the quarterback of Alabama. That would be kind of the cherry on top of the dream, right? And so it just meant a lot to me. I love rolling into Tuscaloosa. When you hear Sweet Home Alabama or Dixieland Delight, you think about playing in Bryant-Denny, and so it all panned out the way I wanted it to. But Ty, if he does stick around, Ty's got a big decision to make, because if there's no real opportunity to start there, then he probably will have to look somewhere else. Because I think he'd have 1 year if Jalen stuck around.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm not saying that he's going to stick around. I hope he doesn't. Because if he sticks around, that means that things haven't gone the way that he wants it to. I was just curious because, when you see the stock go the wrong direction, I feel like it puts a lot of pressure on him to go out there and really have a lot of success, not just for the team, but also for his own personal brand, which I think he can do. This was the game that he got it turned around last year. And it really felt like the second half of that Missouri game, things started to come back together for him.
Yeah. No, I think it gave him a lot of confidence, and you also got to think, we've got a lot of great players on our team this year, and we had some good players last year, but I think I'm speaking in pretty obvious terms when I say we haven't had the receiver room the last 2 years than we've had, the last 8 years prior to the 2 years we've most recently had, right, if that makes any sense. And this year, I see a lot of youth out there. I see a lot of new faces out there. And last year, I know Isaiah Bond was starting to make a name for himself. Nye Black, that tight end, he made a lot of good catches, but still a young guy. It's just been kind of a different environment offensively for Alabama over the last couple of years. And I think Jalen's skill set, has suited us best because I think he's allowed for us to not be quite as good in that offense, in that receiver room or up front, because his legs have made up for a lot of deficiencies that we currently have that we used to not have. Do you agree with that? Or
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree with that.
I think his legs have been an absolute necessity, and I feel like last year, he literally, I felt like he carried us on offense. And sure, you can say that in terms of just pocket presence and making throws in the pocket, he struggles here and there, but what he adds through his legs just make up for so much that I think he's been essential to Alabama's success over the last couple of years.
Yeah, me too. I think it takes a lot of criticism, but that's the job too, man. I know that there's always this big debate on why you're criticizing them or why you like them or why you don't like them. Some crazy reason, I guess, just because I've been so positive about them. Everybody thinks I'm his biggest cheerleader, and I'm just objective, man. Really.
And that's what, you can't, what do you want? Just, I'd love to say, if a guy's not Vince Young, that just runs and throws and does everything, is he just a bad player? We're not supposed to support him. Everybody's got their strengths. Everybody's got their weaknesses. And I think his strengths really galvanized that team last year and made us what we were on offense.
Yeah.
And so, that's my thought behind it. Obviously, there are perfect quarterbacks in the college game. I would say Cam Newton's one of those guys. Vince Young was one of those guys. Just run and throw and see things and do things. And I think, Jalen could possibly get there one day. Who's to know? Who maybe. And he doesn't have all those sharpened tools just yet, but he does show a lot of promise, and his physical toughness and ability is just off the charts.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And this is his showcase. And this is the game. You lose this game, and all of a sudden, you're remembered as a quarterback that didn't have Alabama in the mix, and it's not fair because it's a team game. But the quarterback gets a lot of the credit when things are going well, and they take a lot of the blame when things.
Oh yeah, hey man, I've told you that story before. That Coach Saban had never lost a national championship. And I'm sitting on the sideline after I meet with Lane, and we're third quarter playing Clemson, and I was like, man, if you don't pick this up, you're going to be known as the guy that lost his first and only national championship for Coach Saban. That thought went through my head. I'll never forget it. It's part of it.
Get out there and get after it, right?
Yeah, and of course, if we don't make the playoff, it's not Jalen's fault. But he will. All eyes will be on him. There's no doubt about it. That's the way it's been for the last 2 years. And I would say, offensively, a lot of the blame for our success should be on Jalen for last year. But he still has a lot of people that try to tear him down. And as Alabama fans, I see what Jalen's done last year, helping to carry that offense, and what he's done during the offseason, holding the program together as best he could. Says a lot about him and his character, and how can you not pull for a guy like that?
I'm with you, man.
So, yeah, I may sound like I'm a homer for Jalen, which I feel like, I'm that guy. But, it is what it is. I think he's a great kid, a great player, and I don't think Alabama does as well this year without him.
He's not good at everything.
Well, nobody's good at everything. There's like a handful of guys I can remember in the last decade who.
Well, no, I'm talking about this
good.
right here, the mullet toss results.
Yeah. If we're in the schoolyard throwing mullets, he may be the last pick.
Yeah, right. You're 41.7. You ruined me. Oh man. Well, look, let's get back together later this week in studio, and we'll continue to talk about Alabama and LSU. We had to do this quick hit podcast for you guys and talk about this game, and get in the comment section and let us know what you think, and get on the covercrimson.com message board. Talk about things. That's what we do, man. Get in there and stir it up a little bit. But this is a big game.
Give us some things to hit for Thursday night.
Yeah, what you guys want to talk about. Yeah, and right now, if you do the Cover Crimson annual subscription, you get the T-shirt for free, and you also get the OG badge as we're changing stuff up on there. So as we reformat a little bit, we want you guys to be a part of that. Brought to you by mybookie.ag. Promo code is next round. He is Jay Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. Thanks for talking to us today, or maybe hanging with us today. We'll catch you in the comments section, and roll tide, everybody.